So, Paris is to be destroyed. There's to be civil war in France. An army is also to come from the east, which will invade France, but also armies from the south. And of course, south of France is North Africa, and that's the Muslim lands. And also, there'll be people within France who are not quite French. The phrase is an odd one that's used by Mary when she's talking about this time. And one thinks perhaps of the North Africans, the Arabs who are now in France, who form about 10% of the French population, who are totally hostile to France and its way of life. And who have caused all kinds of trouble, which gets covered up by the press, knifings on trains and so on. So if we have, at some stage, a French government which is in some way allied with the forces of Islam in France, you could see how they could facilitate an invasion of France from the Islamic territories. But what about the East? Well, you know how we, our beloved dear leader, Turkey, and the dear leader of France, they're all provoking the Russians. Now, no matter what one says, and you know my position from last time we spoke, it doesn't matter why this is, we are heading towards war with the Russians. It's not like anybody's trying to dial it down. Now, if Donald becomes president, as I hope he does, he's the only one who actually was trying to dial it down. That's why I was supporting him in 2016. But absent that, and even though if he gets in, he's only there for 4 years, and there was a big attempt to sabotage him, and there would be again. So the trajectory we're on is war with the Russians, maybe war with the Chinese, but certainly war with the Russians. And so the army of the Russians could be the one that is identified in the prophecies of the 1870s, 1880s, onwards. So Russia would invade then from the east.
But she's not specific about which country it will be.
No,
just that it will be from the east.
That's right. Of course, it's not going to be Germany. I mean, the German army is pathetic, and it wouldn't touch France. Not this time anyway. And if we think maybe 50 years from now, well, Germany might be very different. But right now, and I don't think we've got enough time to think this timeline is taking us to the late 21st century. We are moving very rapidly towards major conflicts. And so that's my reading of that. So we have this setting of civil war in France. France being on its knees, but the one place where it will be safe, relatively safe, is Brittany. Now, Marie-Julie Jahenny is from Brittany. So it's, by the way, and you're also to be in the north of Brittany. The south will suffer more. There'll be plagues, for example, which will infest France. And in the south of Brittany, there'll be effects of that. But the armies of the east will not invade Brittany. And the Vendée region as well will be fairly safe. They'll attempt to invade Brittany, but they won't succeed. So then, that being the setting, what is one to do? Well, the point is, we're given indications of places of safety to go to, and we're given indications of herbs and other medicinal plants to stock to avoid these plagues, and to ameliorate them. Also, holy water, blessed objects. But there's this state that France will be in, and there's not much time spent on England, but it seems that England will be in turmoil as well. The hints that are given about it. So what will happen is things will be turned around, and that will be a king. Well, firstly, before we forget about the turning around, we will see the French governments will call, this will be the traitorous French government, traitorous to the people of France. It will call somebody from Persia, from Iran, to come to rule France. And he's given a specific name, I can't remember the name now, but he will come and he will rule France very badly for the French for a couple of years.